The grand families are a huge market in Milwaukee County.
Oftentimes we don't see the need for that particular demographic. We were seeing in the city of Milwaukee that a large number of grandparents were taking on the responsibility of raising their children's children and providing a space for that to make it easy and providing amenities in an environment where they can offer them support for taking on that responsibility.
Welcome to Black Nouveau. This is our edition for April 2nd, 2014. I'm Joanne Williams. This week we'll visit the Villard Square Library, which houses much more than books. Actor Shike Johnson shares his poetry with us. We'll meet a single mother who plays college basketball. And we'll tell you who won the tickets to see Ain't Misbehavin' at the Milwaukee Repertory Theater. We begin with an educational opportunity linked to a cultural heritage. Easy goes on the wheel, way up in the middle of the air. Easy goes on the wheel, way in the middle of the air. Easy goes on the wheel, way up in the middle of the air. Easy goes on the wheel, way in the middle of the air. The big wheel run by the wheel, way some on wheel and on wheel. Black college choirs like this one from Morgan State in Baltimore, Maryland, are staples of historically black colleges and universities. They're nicknamed the HBCUs. They were established to create higher educational opportunities for black citizens. Most were created after the Civil War, often with the help of religious organizations. They helped create a black professional class in a segregated society. They graduated many prominent African Americans who excelled in their fields. One of the areas in which HBCUs excels is creating African American teachers for public school systems. Our guest Gerard Randall is hoping to continue that creation in Milwaukee.
Thank you so much, Joanne, for allowing me this opportunity to talk about what I think is a wonderful initiative that we are trying to launch here in Milwaukee. And that's a partnership between the historically black colleges and universities and the Milwaukee Public Schools. There are several institutions in the city that already have significant partnerships with some of the HBCUs individually, even some collectively like Milwaukee Area Technical College. But in this instance, what we're looking to do is recapture some of those students who have left Milwaukee to attend HBCUs, have gone on to major in teacher certification programs. We want them to come back to Milwaukee and work in the Milwaukee Public Schools.
Well, where are they going now once they graduate?
Well, if they go to Atlanta or some of the other more attractive locations in the South, that's where they stay. Many oftentimes go to some of the major cities like New York. They go out west to California cities. We're losing them. Even Texas is more attractive for many of the graduates of HBCUs, much more so than the Rust Belt cities like Chicago or Milwaukee or Detroit.
So you're going to have deans and heads of education departments of the HBCUs come to Milwaukee and see what we have here. How are you going to sell them on our city?
Well, it would have been nice if they'd been here last week when the basketball tournament was going on. But we have quite a few amenities that make Milwaukee very attractive. We've got great architecture. We've got great learning communities here in Milwaukee. If you really stop to take a look at it, Milwaukee is actually a college town. There's a lot of vibrancy here. There are a lot of neighborhoods here that are attractive neighborhoods. And certainly we have a lot of opportunity for people to continue to help us to rebuild a city in some of the areas where there's a lot of economic depression, in those neighborhoods where people of color in particular are struggling to access those dreams that many Americans have and have had success in attaining.
Now, you want to have students who graduate from the HBCUs who are from Milwaukee come back home to teach. Are you also trying to recruit students who are from other parts of the country who went
Absolutely.
to the HBCUs?
One of our partners in this effort is the Urban Teacher Residency Program, or Project Metro. And it's cast a pretty broad net to find people who have bachelor degrees already, want to get certification in teacher education, and continue to teach in the Milwaukee Public Schools. They have joined with us in this effort so that if there are people who graduate from the HBCUs who don't have teacher certification but have a bachelor's degree and would like to come into Milwaukee to teach, we've got an opportunity that exists for them to get that certification and launch their careers in MPS.
What's going to be the value to the kids who go to MPS? Why are they going to benefit from having students coming from Fisk or Hampton or Spelman come and teach in their schools?
Yes, Milwaukee Public Schools has had a long-standing initiative to bring more teachers of color into the system, more administrators who are people of color. And we have lost so many of our teachers, both majority and non-majority, teachers to retirement, to other school districts. We've got this tremendous need to rebuild our core of professionals in the MPS. And this gives us an opportunity to do that with people who look like the children that are being taught in the schools. I think there's an understanding that many of them have of the challenges that those children face, that those parents face, that are trying to raise their children the right way and get them the kind of education that will allow them to be prosperous and engaged in our community. And unfortunately, we don't have enough here in this community right now to make that a reality. And so we do have to cast a pretty broad net in order to bring in some of the reinforcements
and the talent from other parts of the country. Well, thank you very much, Gerard. Gerard Randall, who is also with the Milwaukee Education Partnership, who is helping bring in people from other universities to learn about Milwaukee, so our kids will be the beneficiaries. And while we're on the subject of education, the Villard Square Library is a mixed-use building. The library is on the first floor, but the rest of the building houses 47 apartments for families where grandparents are the major caregivers. Liddy Collins has that story.
This mural honors a community that stood up and saved their neighborhood library that was slated to close. Out of this struggle came a new state-of-the-art library and also housing for an underserved sector of our community, grandparents.
Oftentimes we don't see the need for that particular demographic. We were seeing in the city of Milwaukee that a large number of grandparents were taking on the responsibility of raising their children's children and providing a space for that to make it easy and providing amenities in an environment where that can offer them support for taking on that responsibility.
I think it was the best idea yet. To provide, some sort of a setting for grandparents who are raising their grandchildren. I enjoy that the fact that we do have a library and we can take our children right downstairs instead of running across town.
I got to looking around, I'm like, oh yeah, this is perfect. This is exactly what we need.
Ted Mackham with Gorman and Company designed this multi-use building and built their loft apartments especially for grandparents.
The style of the units, we really wanted to be an open concept, a lot of light coming in because seniors like the 55 and older love the light that comes in with a lot of windows, and the open concept so the family can congregate and kind of hang out together. Big kitchen that is open as well as a family room that's nearby that people can kind of study and read and all be in one unit.
Also, each unit has a laundry area. There's a media room for watching TV and movies, a fitness center, a community room, and a rooftop playground to keep kids off of the busy streets. IFF, a nonprofit community development financial institution, was a key partner in getting this project done.
For us, I think one of the greatest parts of our jobs is really working with people who have the vision to kind of get something like this off the ground and then being able to provide a really critical source of capital to make it happen.
Wasserman thought this was an innovative project because of the building's different usages.
We had grand families being focused on. This is a population who there's not a lot of housing options for. And then you also have a community where a library was basically yanked out, and now they have access to a library on top of it.
At the start of this project, a tax credit application was submitted to the state, and Howard Snyder was part of this.
I was not in the housing business. I wanted to be in the library business because the library business was bringing lots of people to this commercial strip, and I've been working on this commercial strip for a very long time. Well, I love it for personal reasons. I love it for social reasons. But if I put my business hat on, the grand families are a huge market in Milwaukee County. Grandkids come to live with grandparents all the time, but they don't think of themselves as a market, and neither did anybody else until we came along and said, there are housing opportunities for people who are taking care of their children's children. We know that. But when you become a grandparent, a grand family, or a grandparent with younger children, you're back in the school business, you're back in the child care business, you're back in the recreation business, and you may not have thought about that for 20 years. You love your grandchildren, but you're happy when they go home on Sunday. Maybe they stay overnight, but you're not sitting there worrying about where they go to school, where they're going to the park, any of those things. And that became an added, really interesting dimension to working here, was having people say, well, where does this kid go to school? And we said, well, I don't know, but let's find out.
So Interfaith and Jewish Family Services were brought in to answer those kinds of questions.
We have a social worker who is here 5 days a week, who can link us to the various services that we might be in need of. We have a grandparent support group, which meets each Wednesday for grandparents to talk about concerns and, to address the challenges that we're faced with.
It's very amazing, the things that they do. We do art, they support them during school times with backpacks and the whole 9 yards. They went on a Brewers game, all kind of things, that we were able to do, and even though my income at the time was not able to do it alone, so, I'm very grateful for them offering all these programs.
The library, which is the Villard Square branch, saw its usage go up.
We've maintained increased levels of participation and patron counts since the doors opened. And so a number of people coming from across the city are coming here to utilize this library just because of its ability to, to offer different types of services.
There's lots and lots and lots of people who are 35 or 40 whose children had children, and they all live together. And that's pretty natural. That's a family. Grand families are what you see in this building. A 60-year-old who's taking care of a 10-year-old and the mom and dad are not in the picture.
Cassie McHenry had a scholarship to play basketball in Iowa, but had to give it up when she became pregnant. McHenry decided to continue her education and basketball career at Milwaukee Area Technical College, where she's a 3-point student, a full-time mom, and works to take care of her son, Kyrie.
Since I've had Kyrie, my life has changed a lot. A lot of things that I would be able to just go and do, now I have to think about Kyrie. I have to find babysitters. I have to just put him before myself at all times. I have to manage my money better, because usually I would just go out and just buy whatever I want to buy, but now I have to make sure I have enough money for Kyrie. My social life, I can't just go out and, have fun with my friends. A lot of the times Kyrie have to come with me, because I don't trust a lot of people watching him. If my dad is busy, then Kyrie's included in all of my plans.
I think one of Ashley's biggest areas that she has grown in is her maturity level. You can see from a mom perspective, she accepts the daily responsibilities of being a mom, a full-time mom, a full-time student, and a full-time athlete. But just watching her grow up and mature into a young lady, has been the biggest attribute for us as coaches. But her development on the court, I mean, she's a gifted athlete, and she's got an opportunity to do whatever she wants to do with her athletic career. But as far as a maturity level and watching her grow up as a mom, I think that's been the most rewarding part. Just watching her go from being a young student to now a young mother, and kind of be in control of her own destiny, and now just not her destiny, but her destiny and Kyrie's destiny.
I'm not where I thought I would be when I turned 21 with basketball. It slowed my process down a little. I'm still playing. I just have to bring Kyrie to practice with me, find people to watch in the games, which is hard sometimes. But yeah, just made me grow up a lot faster than I thought I would have to grow up.
When you look at the responsibility that she has and what she has to go through on a daily basis just to come to school, it's not just getting herself up and getting herself ready, doing her homework and going through all that stuff. You know, you have to have a regimented schedule where, okay, I'm up by this time, I have to get Kyrie to the sitter because I have class at 8. And she may have gotten home from a late game. We may have gotten back at 12:30 that night before from a late game. Just having the discipline to be able to get up, take your son to daycare, make sure you got all your homework done, everything done from the night before, from the day before. That says a lot to the rest of the team. You know, when you're single and you're by yourself, you have only 3 people to answer to, is me, myself, and I. Well, now you have a son. Now you have to answer to me, myself, and I, and to him, and schedule yourself around it. So I think time management from her perspective is huge, and the team actually, I believe, plays off of that.
A lot of times when I feel as though I might want to give up, my team keeps me going. They're very supportive, and they always give me good advice. I have a strong relationship with God, so by faith, I just stay positive and keep faith, and at the end of the day, I just keep going.
I think the team accepts Ashley as another sister, and Kyrie's accepted as their sibling. You see them all the time. Different players will pick up Kyrie, and they know the situation with her, situation that sometimes, you know, her schedule doesn't quite match what our demands are for a team and our practice schedules. She might be a couple minutes late because she's got to pick up Kyrie from her daycare. In today's society, there's so many single parents, and for us to help out athletes get to where they want to be, we have to adapt. We allow, like in the case with Ashley, we allow Kyrie in practice, and we're like his extended family.
If I had to give advice to someone who was going through what I'm going through right now, I would say don't give up. You can finish school, you can finish doing whatever you were doing before you got pregnant. It makes it harder. You have to stay strong, but at the end of the day, it can happen.
These are my thoughts. Hopefully they make you think. Hopefully they provoke you into action. My thoughts are like your thoughts, comprised of ideas, complaints, observation, beautiful words on life. But what I hope, what I need, since we are filled with ideas, complaints, observations, and beautiful words, is movement. I want all, no, I invite all to stop the philosophizing and start putting one foot in front of the other and pick up a shovel to dig through that landfill of disaster we've all created. There's a lot of BS on top. Movement is key. Work. We must work. 28 days has February, and we all yell, yes, we get our moment in the sun. But how many of our sons and daughters lost their lives in a month that cries, remember who you are? A lot of our children refuse to learn, disrupting class time and taking away precious moments of other black babies who yearn for the knowledge of who they be, how great they can be. Is it me, or do kids have too much power? Adults cower in the corner of their classrooms while parents confuse friendship with being a parent. Your kids are not your friends. Yes, love. Love is what they need. You are their guiding light, so they can move through this wilderness learning right from wrong until they are strong enough, have acquired enough tools to lead themselves, their young. And when the time comes, there is no future if a child thinks he's grown but can't see any further than his nose. The world is a big place. Our communities crumble while others thrive, no, soar. They make money off of us, and what's more, others have joined in on this game, studying what we are, who we be. Have we become the weak? I don't mean physically weak, because that's a minor asset to have in the world. So what? You can lift 500 pounds. So what? You can run faster than the speed of sound. So what? You can jump out of a gym. You have no say-so as you sit at the world dining table. As a matter of fact, go sit in the back with the children as we discuss what your future will be. Sound familiar? If we do not take a hold, grab a hold of the branch of knowledge or the rope of hope, we will continue to descend into that nothingness, and we will become like the Native Americans, a memory, who now folks are proud to be. I am half, a third, a quarter Cherokee. Do you think when we're all gone, people will be proud to say, I am a third, a quarter, a fifth nigger on my mama's side? We must come together to fix what's broken. Think as a community, strengthen our minds so we don't fail our babies. Trust me, the system does not fail. We must trust in us to make our lives better. Bob Marley said it best. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right.
So the last time Shike Johnson was here, we were talking about A Raisin in the Sun.
Absolutely.
Being in that play.
Absolutely.
But now you've brought us another talent. When did you become a poet?
I don't know. These are my thoughts. These are things, my observations of the world, and this is how I express myself. And usually I keep them to myself, but I was moved to do my first poem at an event that was part of my theater company, which is the Bronzeville Arts Company. We were putting on an event, and so I decided to do a poem. And what I try not to do is be the angry black man, because a lot of times when I write something, I feel like I've been provoked by something that I've seen on television, and it comes out a little bit angry. And then I go back and I read it, and I go, okay, I can't do it that way. So these are just my thoughts. I say all that to say these are just my thoughts. I don't know if I'm a poet, but maybe I am. I don't know if you know when you do become a poet. I guess some people aspire to be poets. I don't aspire to be a poet. I aspire just to express myself and get my thoughts out there.
Which is important to do.
Absolutely.
No matter what form you used. In this case, we can call it poetry.
Right.
Sounded like poetry to me. What would you say to other young men who have things to say and don't know how to say them?
Write. Just start writing. Don't stop. Just write. Get a book, buy a book, and write. And don't censor yourself. Don't do anything. Just whatever's on your mind, put it down. You can go back later and fix things, but whatever's on your mind, write it down. Don't worry about it rhyming. Don't worry about how long the sentence is. Just write how you feel at that moment, and keep doing that. And eventually, things will start to just pop out. You'll be amazed how I just wrote. And I was like, oh, you know what? If I take that and I put that over here, or sometimes what I wrote was perfectly fine. So just write. Writing is it's therapeutic in a lot of ways, just writing and getting your thoughts. Maybe you can't say that to your mom. Maybe you can't say that to your dad or your friends, but you can put it down on paper. So just write.
Well, thank you, Shike. Good advice. And perhaps one of these days we'll hear about the great poet, which will be you, and we can say, we heard you read some of your poetry here first.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Black Nouveau.
Thanks for having me.
Before we close tonight, here are the winners of the tickets to see Ain't Misbehavin' at the Milwaukee Rep. These viewers knew that the actress won both a Tony and an Emmy for her work in the show. It was Nell Carter. Congratulations. And that's our program for this week. For Black Nouveau, I'm Joanne Williams. Thanks for watching. Good night.